Finally, after 3 months of work, the time has come to start our next adventure. On March the 12th, I hitched the trailer and started heading north. I picked up Magali, and in the evening we take a last rest at the ancient place of Haithabu. Haithabu was one of the largest and southernmost Viking settlements. It was a very important trading place, a kind of precursor to the Kiel Canal, as at this point the connection between the Baltic Sea and the North Sea was very short when using the rivers Träne and Eider. All this is of course very interesting, but this is not what we came for. So let's start sailing. We craned the boat in the Viking harbor in Schleswig. Around midday the Okapi was rigged up and the short adventure could start.
Here you see the new captain. The deck hound is at home.
Maybe, as you know, the real captain of the boat is this short-legged, furry girl beside me. Out of concern about damaging the solar panels in the harbor, I first installed them on the water. However, we left them on afterwards and had no problems.
Say hello to the new tiller man, tiller woman. Yeah, the camera I am using.
Yeah, belonged to the guy who had the, I don't know how in English, the holiday house in Brodersby, where we are going right now. It was this guy. I already decided that that's
A strong breeze of 15 to 20 knots from the stern gave us a good and fast ride to our first destination. We reached an average speed of 4 knots only with the jib.
Ja.
In the afternoon, we reached the Marina Brodersby in the Misunda Strait. That should be our first overnight spot.
She's napping a minute or two.
The rest of the day we enjoyed the warm and sunny weather and explored our vicinity. Thanks to the decreasing wind, I was able to fly the drone and make some beautiful aerial footage. We also found the holiday home that Magali went to as a small child. And the beach on which she lost her doll. So, if anyone found the doll, so about 35 years ago, please let us know. On the next morning we woke up and the wind was blowing with about 20 knots from northeast. And this would have meant for us an uncomfortable ride only with the engine. So we decided to stay one more day in Brodersby. It was very amazing to see a rising water level on the aerial view due to the northeast wind which is pushing the water into the Schlei. All in all, I guess that this would about 30 centimeters more water. Spending another day in Brodersby was much more of an enrichment than a waste of time. Since it was still very cold at night, we were able to spend a cozy evening in the boat thanks to the heating. On the next morning we woke up early to get the first bridge opening in Lindaunis. The bridge is about 6 miles away. And with an average speed of 3.5 knots, it will take us 1.5 to 2 hours to get there.
Can you tell me what is the goal for today?
First Kappeln, then I always forget the name.
Outdoor Ode? You want to visit Outdoor Ode?
Maybe I thought you want to go to Schlei to the other village. Depends if we stay in Kappeln or we go further down the Schlei. Or high the Schlei. That's wrong.
So you see the sea legs are growing more and more.
The few clouds that were there in the morning gradually disappeared and it became a wonderful day. Also, the wind changed the direction and we got 5 to 10 knots from the stern.
Studying the charts. So where do we go? Where we are?
On the other side. I think it might be a bit long to go up here. Maybe it's enough to stay here for a night, I don't know.
Only Kappeln.
We reached the bridge
Okay.
much earlier than expected, so there was enough time to train the growing sea legs.
Genau, das aus der Klemme raus. Und dann brauchst du dieses hier.
Das loslassen.
Nee, genau, das führst du langsam. Und da, an dem hier rollst du das Vorsegel ein. Und das ist halt also möglichst straff. Das ist möglichst straff gerollt ist, genau. Das heißt, mit dem anderen kannst du genau nicht gegenhalten. Und mit dem grünen dann. Genau. Perfekt. Ziehst den hier wieder in die Klemme rein. So. Und machst das andere hier auch wieder in die Klemme. So, dann ist es gegeneinander verspannt und alles ist gut.
Since we still had enough time while we waited for the bridge to open, we anchored close to the shore and made a coffee. For the drinking fresh water we mostly use bottled water, because in my opinion this is a very good way to store the drinking fresh water hygienically. You can also store these bottles in nearly every little place you find on the boat. Larger quantities of non-drinking fresh water we still store in jerry cans. Storing the drinking fresh water in the plastic bottles has of course also major disadvantages. E.g. it only works for smaller quantities.
Ich habe Sie nur verrauscht aufnehmen können. Können Sie Ihre Nachricht nochmal wiederholen und die Rufzeichen?
Because this was our first bridge passing, we were a little bit nervous. But luckily there were a lot of other boats also waiting for the bridge to open. So we only have to look what they are do and do the same. In the end it turns out that there was no reason to be nervous at all, because driving through the bridge was much easier than we both thought. Launching and landing the drone from the boat is of course always risky, but this time I nearly crashed it into the water. By default, the drone is set up to return to the takeoff point if the transmitter is more than 500 meters away from the takeoff point. But it took me a while to understand that after the drone simply turned around and I was not able to control it anymore. But after I understood that, we turned the boat around and then I was able to catch the drone. This time we were lucky and I changed the setting immediately. But I think the day will come when a drone will crash into the water. But what will you do if you want the aerial shots? You have to fly. Around midday we thought it would be time to stretch the legs, so we searched a nice anchorage close to the shore. And for this I first wanted to install a new line for the anchor signal.
Bist du sicher?
Not really, but it worked. And that was also the first time, and I was very curious, that we inflated the dinghy on the boat. First time building the dinghy on the boat. The sea legs are not long enough yet. But, however, pumping up the dinghy on board works much better than I have thought. Ist das ja hier auch so berühmt, ne?
Ist
Also
das
nicht.
so?
Ja, so wird immer gesagt, dass das eigentlich so die schönste Jahreszeit ist, wenn der Raps blüht. Got to find out what raps is in English. Do you know?
No.
Do you want to sing again? Row, row, row your boat.
If I'm torn in two, would you take my hands with you, so you can carve me up some more, dole me out until your feet get sore, then take mine to make them new, so we can see this project through.
That was an incredible, beautiful hour there, and it's a pity that you cannot smell the rapeseed on your screen. But every beautiful moment comes to an end, and we had to move further to search for the next one.
Stand and take my lungs to all my friends. They're the ones that kept me breathing.
Unfortunately, the drone drives crazy again, and we had to return for it the second time this day.
Ja, vielleicht. This is Leaving Land Part 2.
Don't want to land in my hands, and so I have to fly it back to the land it there and get it.
You're a chauvinistic idiot.
So, in Germany you would say, was man nicht im Kopf hat, hat man in den Beinen. What you don't have in the head, you have this in your legs. Also, that's it. Row, row your boat, the dawn is through. Very, life is just a dream. But before this gets too crazy, we'd better set sails and move on. On our way to Kappeln we passed Arnis, which is in the legal sense the smallest city in Germany. In the early afternoon we reached Kappeln, but that continues in the next episode. And if you like my videos, then please leave me a thumb up and subscribe my channel and comment. So hope I see you the next time. Goodbye.